Hi everyone, my name is Jyotika Singh and today I'm going to talk about how you can use AI tools to create art completely for free. Art can be approached in so many different ways, and today I will show you how anyone can use AI to fuel their creative ideas and bring them to life. Let's dive in. So while there are actually many tool options that you can use to play around with images, but we're going to talk about primarily two here, which is ChatGPT and Google Gemini. And the reason is just to keep the discussion focused, and these are some examples of the tools that I feel are easy to access and set up. So we want to start by going to chatgpt.com. Now you may get a screen that looks a little bit like this, asking you to create an account or log in. So you can simply stay signed out and not create an account and use ChatGPT, but a lot of image-related features don't work unless you're signed in. So if you have an account, just simply log in. If you don't, then you can sign up for free. You basically have to enter your email ID and your account will be created. Note that unless you're paying for any more advanced features, the free version, even after you log into your account, has a certain limit on the number of images that you can generate in a day. So go all out, but just make sure it's going to be capped at a certain amount, at a certain number of images every single day. And that limit resets every day. So to do anything more on the free account, you just have to wait for the next day. And to access Google Gemini, you basically need to go to gemini.google.com, and it takes you to a screen that looks a little bit like this. Now you can again use Gemini without signing in, but if you sign in, then you may have like your chat saved and maybe some additional features that you may not have if you are using this signed out. Specifically, if you wanted to generate images of any kind, then you may really need to be logged in. So let's just try this real quick. And there you go. So the free version has limitations and you may not be able to do a lot with images here. So to resolve this, you can basically just sign in, and you can do that by signing in to your regular Google Mail account. And you can do that from here as well. So this will route you to signing in to your email, essentially, and that's about it. Now, art can be of so many different types and forms. So here we are going to talk about a few examples of how you can use the tools that we've shared for creating some art. Let's go. You can even use generative AI for some ideas on maybe a painting that you want to pursue, and maybe you just need some ideas on what to do. So in this case, I posed a question that I want to work on a painting. I want it to be abstract, and I want it to be a waterfall with some red and yellow colors in the surrounding areas. So I want ChatGPT here to give me some ideas on how I can conceptualize my painting and proceed. And so you see, it gives some, pretty interesting ideas here, regarding different abstractions and what sort of ideas I can pursue. And then, I actually wanted to create a sketch for me so that I have some baseline and I can, take things from there. So I'm like, generate a concept image. And this is the image that it creates, which is abstract waterfall with the red and the yellow tones that I wanted. Now, if maybe I don't want to paint something like this, I want it to be even easier. Then I posed a question here that that looks tough to paint. Can you make the sketch easier? And this is the sort of easy version of the image I got back. In general, it's very easy to be very creative. You can have any type of ideas that you just want to visualize, and you have this thought in your head, this image in your head. You want to see what it really looks like in reality. Well, go for it and enter whatever description you want. It can be very imaginary, be as creative as you want in terms of describing the kind of image you're looking for. And in this case, I went with trying to create a picture that has a dinosaur sitting in a Ferrari, which is specifically a yellow Ferrari. with mountains on the side and the dinosaur riding into a sunset. Uh, Pretty bizarre, but look at the image it created. Pretty good and very well aligns with my description and what I had in mind. It is not just for art or just putting your creativity down into an image, but also other type of images that you may be interested in. Now let's say in this example I want to create a logo for a new company that is called Refer Co, and this company will be reselling refurbished clothes. So let's see what this generates for me. So looks like it's asking for more input. You want a particular color palette, logo elements, text layout, style, uh, and now we're just going to ask it to freestyle it. And let's see. So sometimes this image generation can be slow and take up to a few minutes even. So let's wait. All right, we got the results back. Now this looks pretty nice, creative, and actually matches the description very well and makes it look very environmental friendly and green. So let's experiment a little bit and say change the color palette to purple and just making this up. So let's say purple and red. And make the design, let's just say more stylish and see what happens. It did change the colors to purple and red, but the style is very much the same. So let's now try change the logo design to be a little bit more funky, but also sophisticated. Even I don't know how that would really be put into an image, but let's see what happens. And okay, this is the result that we get. So we see, some differences from the prior one. They are more simple design of the hanger. The font is, more simple here. And here it sort of played around with that, while kept the logo design the same, but it has the colors that we wanted it to incorporate and slightly more rounded shapes. But let's ask it to do something different, right? It didn't really change anything in the logo, and I wanted to change something in the logo. So change the logo design and show me a different idea while incorporating my prior to feedback points. Let's see. We have the image created. Now the logo is different. Still some of the elements, the recycle logo here, but now we have a completely different design, and the logo has a little bit of funk to it, just like how we had those subtle differences between the prior one and the one before. So yeah, this is the final outcome. Now, as you can see, you may have to experiment and play around with your instructions a little bit. And, it's like a back and forth experiment till you find something that you really like that you can actually then take forward as inspiration and do something, on top of that. So let's ask Gemini the same question we asked ChatGPT about creating a logo template for the new company, the clothing one. So what I've noticed is that Gemini is usually faster in generating images, but there are of course subtle difference in functionality in terms of what you can do with ChatGPT versus Gemini. So interesting. That's what it created as a logo for me. So maybe I can give it feedback. I want red and purple colors, and the logo should be more funky but also sophisticated. So let's see what it's able to do with the feedback I just shared. All right, well, it did incorporate my colors, but it's not very funky. So make it more funky and let's say loud. Ooh, okay, so that is interesting. It's definitely funky. Maybe I can add more instructions like add elements like clothing in the logo. Let's see if that gives me something better that I like. All right. Well, that is kind of like a shirt there in the middle. Well, it's decent. It's a different idea, and I think gives a little bit of different perspective than what the other Gen AI model does. So it gives you a variety to play around with. So I started painting a few years ago, and what I like to do sometimes is to actually sketch out what I'm thinking first with like a pencil, and then go in with the paints, and then go from there. So one thing leads to the other. So that's usually my starting point, and sometimes it's very challenging, especially when you're dealing with features like face. So let's see if Gemini is able to help me come up with some ideas that I can use. We have our result. So this is what it drew for me. Actually, this is pretty nice and interesting. And let me see. Can you give me an idea of how I could paint the above using acrylic paints? All right, when I ask you to give me an idea of how I could paint, my question originally asked using acrylic paints. It gives me this particular image. Well, that looks beautiful. I hope I can paint that well. But I'm actually interested in trying to paint the original sketch that it shared. So let's see if we can make that happen. So I'm gonna add this image. So the image that Gemini generated, and then I'm gonna ask it, can you color this image as if you were using acrylic paints? So very much like humans, AI has limitations, very big limitations as well. And so we see that there's a lot you can do with Gemini, but perhaps the limitation is that you cannot perform a lot of creativity on one single image with especially the version provided, in the free accounts. And so that's where having multiple tools at your disposal is helpful, because with ChatGPT, you can do a lot more with this kind of an example. So we'll actually look at an example of uploading an actual image of a person, converting that to a sketch, and then that to a painting, and then playing around with the complexity a little bit. All right, one trend you may have seen is that people are uploading their own pictures or pictures of people they know, and then they are converting that to a different style of an image and animation and all of those things. So here's what I'm going to do. I uploaded an image, and I'm going to ask ChatGPT to take this and create like a sketch outline for me as if I wanted to actually ultimately paint this face myself, but I need a simple outline sketch to start with. So let's see what ChatGPT is able to do for me here. Okay, and this is the result for this particular image that I shared. Well, that's actually really simple and a great starting point for me. So now let me ask ChatGPT this. Now I want to take the sketch and fill it up with acrylic paints. Suggest how it can look like for painting. So basically, what I'm trying to get here is some sort of a template, a version that shows me how it may look like if I paint it a certain way, and how I can take that and use that as inspiration if that's the kind of painting I ultimately want to go for. And we have the results right here. Wow, that looks so beautiful. I don't know if I can paint so well, so let's keep in mind, like if it's a beginner that wants to paint this and this looks very complex, can we reduce the complexity of the strokes in any way? So let's try that. So this is what we get while asking it to really make it more simple. Now that is maybe way too simple. So let me see if I can ask it to create something in the middle, slightly less simple. Let's see what happens. And this is the result that I get. This was the before in terms of simplicity. This is after. We do see some more complexities and shading is added here. And of course, both of them are much more simpler than the first image here, which looks pretty complex to paint. So again, you can keep playing around with this and maybe ask it to make it, slightly more or less simple, maybe a little bit more complex until you reach a level where you feel comfortable that this is a great reference, and then take that and start painting. Lastly, please note that whatever information you get out of AI does not guarantee any correctness or accuracy, so please do your own diligence and be mindful of what information you decide to share with these AI tools available. Read their terms of conditions and any privacy notices to be more informed.
If you have any questions, feel free to reach out using the shared Instagram handle. Have fun creating art, and thank you.